Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, who actually lost a battle against the dreaded Shocker last night. Apparently, I've used... See, they're still striking at me. Apparently, I did not do the correct thing with my video. So anyone who did see it, count your blessings. I'm sorry. But we're going to redo it again and see if I can do it properly and defeat the dreaded Shocker. Probably tomorrow morning. At some point. But it is I, X7, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters, as you can tell. And as you also can tell, we're going to be talking about Invaders from Mars from 1953. Sven aired it last night, and it was quite fun to watch. He has aired it before, but it had been quite a while since I've seen it, and I did not review it on the blog, the Zenorama blog, of course. So I did today. But we're going to talk a little more about it. It's a 77, 78-minute film. Nowadays, the copy I had, I got these pictures from. Oh, I didn't. So here's another, there's a drive-in that you can see. Let's listen to this. All right, so that's the very beginning of the trailer. It has been released on Blu-ray by, Ignite Films. I don't know that I'm going to want to buy this because I never saw it growing up. There we go, there's the title. However, it's a good movie. It's very, very interesting. It is the first Alien Invaders movie to show them in color. Alien Invaders because it was rushed into production to beat War of the Worlds, George Powell's wonderful epic movie. It's very different than War of the Worlds, even though they're both from Mars. It's very different. So before we get too far along and before I forget, please like, share, subscribe, vote in the poll if there is one. And we have talked about War of the Worlds, but that's going to be one of the ones we redo in the future. Vote in the poll, and if you're watching, or wherever you're watching or listening, please listen a little bit longer and give us, it'll help the algorithm. So let's get on this. So the plot basically is, there's the stars. Little Jimmy Hunt is the star. Gee whiz, Jimmy.
From Mars. He saw them land from outer space. He saw them capture innocent people only to destroy.
Well, not quite. More of the stars here. The music by Raoul Krauschar, which is quite good. Richard Blake's screenplay that he got from a dream that he had a dream about, apparently. And then directed by William Cameron Menzies, who's a very, obviously produced, directed, and designed, or something like that. Your agent is a little awesome, so we'll go from that. So David McClane, that's our hero there, right there. That's him and his dad. They're looking at the stars at 4 a.m. Mom doesn't like it, but we're not going to go too much into it. There's a spaceship that David sees, and there's it burrowing in the ground, which they reuse later on. So the whole gist of it is that the invaders are taking over the world, or the city. It's not epic. They do use a lot of stock footage to give it some epic feel, but overall it's a story that makes more sense when you see the ending. Then it's suddenly like, oh yeah, now it makes sense. But it's compelling, and if you watch it in that 78-minute burst instead of with commercials, it's even more compelling. Here is where the aliens, the sand pit where they land. Part of this is obviously a painting, but you do see people walk up to about there. It's very surreal, the whole thing. Now, if you haven't seen it, well, I'm going to spoil it. It's technically the whole movie's a dream until the end. There's mom, and she said dad's gone up there. She's sending people up. There's the sand pit that they fall into. It opens up and closes, opens and closes. Really well done. Most of the effects in this movie are practical. There are a few opticals, including the ship I just showed you, but that's about it. There are some superimposed explosions. and things like that. But overall, everything in here, almost every shot is a practical effect. It's done in camera, so they don't have to spend a lot of money over it. There's Dad. He's returned. There's his telltale. That is where the aliens control people. They insert this metal rod. First time it's probably been done in a movie that you see it, because it's, it's X. It's bloody. Now, Your Humble Agent never aired here in Fossil Bed when I started watching and searching for science fiction movies. Never ever. Saw many pictures of the mutants, as they call them, and wanted to see it and would have watched it, and it probably would have scared the hell out of me, because it's a frightening movie if you're watching as a kid.
Father turned against son.
There we go.
People changed into strange, weird animals.
Well, that's a bit of a thing that implies that they were turned into actual animals. They're just, personalities are all different. So, father turned against son. This scene here, according to Sven, little Jimmy Hunt actually got backhanded accidentally. It was not on purpose, but he was off his mark. And Dad they probably practiced run through it a couple of times, and he just, a fraction of an inch or a centimeter, if you will. And you get backhanded 5 across the eyes. So I'm sure they cut, so that you didn't see because he looks fine after the reaction. But I'm sure if he really did get backhanded, he was a little surprised. But that was his fault for being off the mark.
A general of the army becomes a saboteur. Trusted police turned into arsonists.
So was that little girl we just saw. And then her brain exploded. They gave her a cerebral hemorrhage because of the little diode in her brain. Here's Jimmy using a dial phone. I just include that because, how often have we seen a payphone that looks like that? Call BR549. And, oh, look, it's the Beeves mom. Apparently she had a military career before she married Ward. But, she does have a little necklace on there. But look, she's a redhead. You didn't see that in the black and white. She's in it for just a second. She doesn't even get a credit in the main credits there. So the way Cameron Menzies directed this, look at this space up here. Apparently it's supposed to be 3D. It's not. I think it's a better film for not being 3D. But it looks, once again, I hate to keep using the word surrealistic. How about impressionistic? All this space with nothing there, right? You see that, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just perfectly set up. It looks great. He's running to talk to the chief, who is, and it's again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 things there. So the chief is under the spell, or he's already under alien contamination, been compromised, puts him in there, and there's Dr. Blake. Is that Dr. Blake? Where's our cast here? Helena Carter as Dr. Patricia Blake. So she takes care of Jimmy. She believes him, and then they start talking, and the more they find out, they go to this is, where'd he go? It's not George. Oh, Dr. Stuart Kelston. That's Arthur Franz there. Little Jimmy Hunt is David McLean. And I just like the way this is set up there. This background is really cool. They figure out that they're the invaders from Mars. It's just the shots here. It's just, it doesn't look like another science fiction movie. It's very imaginative. That's a good word for it. Yes. I mean, that's one of the reasons it's become, they call it a cult classic, but it's hardly cult when it's highly recognized as one of the most more influential science fiction movies from the 50s. There's a real stock footage of an observatory. I just like the shot of that. And nice painting. Of course, that's not real at all, of the atomic ship that they're working on, possibly going to Mars. And once again, there's Dad there. He's taking the colonel, the colonel, one of the two, and pushes him into the hole. And then Jimmy's all sad. More stock footage of army stuff. So here's a clue that starts that would make adult eyes think something's weird here. This little boy is in every scene with the army. He's out on the site. That's the general or the colonel, somebody. Uh, George McClane, his dad was Leif Erikson. Just makes just makes me laugh because why would you choose the name Leif Erikson as a stage name?
The boy's parents changed into killers.
Yep, they're not killers. They're good thing he ducked.
But nobody's getting anywhere out there. Nobody can locate anything. Anybody. The Martians. We've got to stop them.
There's that music. That's just, and they can hear that. So it's not just the audience. It's what the aliens are powering up something. There's the diode that, or the doodad, thingamagum, if you want the scientific term, that the Martians use to control people. They took it out of the little girl's exploded brain. Thankfully, this isn't a gore movie. When we review The Flesh Eaters, we'll get a little gore here. Right there, that's Mel. Let's see if I can find out. Martin, Bill Phillips? No. I'm trying to figure out what. He wasn't as famous then, but he would later be the guy, he's bald, from. Nope. Yeah, Richard Deacon, that's who it is. Dick Van Dyke Show, Leave It to Beaver, Jack Benny Program, and a minor role here. This was it. But young. Look at how much younger he is. He probably did have more hair then. Here's a scene at night, the opposite way going to the sand pit. So it's just
Invaders from Mars, capturing humans at will for their own sinister purposes, turning them into diabolical instruments of destruction.
So here's our first look at some of the mutants, and all we see is their legs. 58 minutes into a 78-minute movie. There's 20 minutes left before we finally see anything that looks like an invader. It's a lot of yelling, but boy, it kicks into high gear at that 20-minute mark, or that 78-minute mark. There's the mutants and the Intelligence Supreme, or Supreme Intelligence, or Supermore. Maybe they're not from Mars and they're from Kree. There's a close-up. There's an actual person in there. Now, why it would look like have a human face is beyond me. But again, if it's a dream, it makes a lot more sense. And the mutants are killing. This is the inside of one of their ships. They do have a pseudo weapon there, but look we've developed. This is how they're tracking where the mutants and the Martians are, and they do say it as mutants, not mutants as I've been saying for 50 years, like a normal person. Here it is, the Intelligence Supreme. That's what Sven called it. Now, he's a big comic book fan, and I have no doubt that Roy Thomas watched this movie several times, saw it as a kid, and would have named it after that. Here's Jimmy as David, yelling at the Intelligence Supreme, who just ignores him. I just really like this shot. It's obviously a painting for most of it, but it just looks cool. It brings to mind Forbidden Planet. And they're about to put a diode into Dr. Blake's neck so that they can control her and find out what the army's doing. But here they come running down and running away. You can see them in the background there. So they have nice sets built up here. There's the whole thing there. You can see the grain, this is obviously a well-worn print, but it still is in good shape. And now they're shooting at the mutants, but that doesn't really harm them because they get up. Now this is a little person that they hired to make the mutants look even bigger and more powerful as he throws them around. And these things back here are inflated condoms. So you can see them moving in the movie. You wouldn't know unless Sven told you, or I did. But there's their digging weapon, but it can melt things. And once again, David is right in the middle of it, operating the weapon. Another clue that this is not happening in real time, right? At least I think so. That's it. That's the sound it makes as it melts the condoms.
Invaders from Mars. Weird, fantastic beings of a super intelligence, ruling a race of synthetic humans and pitting them against mankind's dream to conquer the universe.
Do we really have it? Does mankind really have a dream to conquer the universe? I don't think so. However, as we get toward the end of the movie, the army has invaded and set munitions in to destroy this. Dr. Stuart Kelston has surmised that there might be a mothership floating above there, but we never see any evidence of that. So as the things are about to, Jimmy is running away and he has all these flashbacks. So he's just running and running and he's not going anywhere. It just doesn't show anything.
Come on, step
More
on it.
flashbacks.
We gotta find Ronaldo in the kitchen. The colonel gives a signal, get back here on the double.
It could happen tomorrow. And then finally, with all the explosions, he's running, and then suddenly he's in bed. I'm just going to wait. There's the trailer's done here. We'll just clickify that out. There we go. And he wakes up. And he runs into his parents' room. They're fine. He's telling them he's had a nightmare. They figure out he's pretty much had a nightmare. The kid settles down. They put him back to bed. Then he wakes up again at 20 till 5, 4:40. He looks out, he sees the same ship landing. Uh-oh. Now, is he still asleep? Is he still wound up? Is he lucid dreaming? We don't know. The movie just ends like that, with it raining, and then he's looking out the window and he says, "Gee whiz!" He's back where he started. Now, hopefully, he remembers all this and he doesn't tell his dad to go look up there, and he avoids everything if it's real. If he's still dreaming, poor kid, it's like a Groundhog Day situation. But that's the end of the movie, and there you go. It's quite the good movie. It's very good. It's very different, and if you're looking for logic, stop. I mean, if you realize it's a dream, it makes perfect sense because dreams don't make any sense, which is weird, right? However, it's just fascinating. The design is great. The way the cameras are set up. I mean, they put over people that talk about William Cameron Menzies. Just talk about how wonderful everything he did was great, and he was born in 1896 and passed away at 1957, age 60, but he won an Academy Award for Best Art Direction for 2 movies. Gone with the Wind, got an honorary award, and The Dove in 1928, 1939, of course. But people just rave about him, and they should. He's just that good at what he did there. I mean, it's just amazing. So without him, it would have been a far lesser movie, I think. So I wouldn't change a bit of it. I mean, they did. Now there is a British version. They thought it was too short, so they added 8 or 9 minutes, where there's more scenes. They filmed an older Jimmy, older David, and in an observatory. And I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it. If I have, I don't remember it. And at the end, it's not a dream. He wakes up, it's not a dream. Doesn't know if everyone's dead or not. So, yeah, I guess it's not a dream. So, it was released by 20th Century Fox. It premiered on April 9th, 1953, some 12 years, almost 12 years to the day before your humble agent was born. Like I said, this movie never aired in Fossil Bed, which is a shame because I'm sure I'd have loved it. We probably would have talked a lot about it at the playground the next day because it would have been something that stood out in all of our memories. But none of my friends ever said they saw it. And we all watched the same stuff at the time until at least 5th grade, probably. I still watched it, but So I highly recommend it. It is available on, I think you can find it on DVD. I got this copy here off of the Internet Archive. So, but there is, like I said, the Blu-ray is out now. I would recommend that over anything because it just looks wonderful. It should. All right, my fellow agents. Hopefully you won't, as Elvira would say, unpleasant dreams. And until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off.
Gee whiz.
Invaders from Mars. He saw them land from outer space. He saw them capture innocent people only to destroy. Father turned against son. People changed into strange, weird animals. A general of the army becomes a saboteur. Trusted police turned into arsonists. The boy's parents changed into killers.
But nobody's getting anywhere out there. Nobody can locate anything, anybody. The Martians, we've got to stop them.
Invaders from Mars, capturing humans at will for their own sinister purposes, turning them into diabolical instruments of destruction. Invaders from Mars, weird, fantastic beings of a superintelligence, ruling a race of synthetic humans and pitting them against mankind's dream to conquer the universe.
Come on, step on it. Search every tunnel. We gotta find Ronaldo and the kid. When the colonel gives a signal, get back here on the double.